Welcome to part 2 of the review sheet. Number 28, the key here is that we are missing 5 out of 9 questions on the science quiz and 6 out of 7 on the math quiz. That means that we got 4/9 of the questions correct on the science quiz, and we got 11/17 of the questions correct on the math quiz. When we divide those and turn them into decimals, we can do 4 divided by 9 and divide it out at decimal points, since 9 won't go into 4, but 9 will go into 40, and that will go in 4 times. And we're going to get a repeating decimal. So the science quiz, you got about a 44% on that one. On the math quiz, we're going to do 11 divided by 17. 17 won't go into 11, but it will go into 110. And that will go in 6 times. When we do 6 times 17, we get 102. And then we're going to subtract. Bring down the 0. 17 will go into 84 times. And really, those are all of the digits that we need. This is going to be about a 64% on the math quiz. So that means that you got a higher percentage correct on your math quiz. Number 29, we're just going to divide. Top dog goes inside the doghouse, bottom dog sleeps outside. 6 will not go into 5, so we'll put a 0 right above the 5. So we need to add a decimal point with a 0 and a decimal point directly above where we had it. 6 will go into 50, and it will go in 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. Subtract. Bring down another 0. 6 will go into 23 times. Subtract. And now we're going to find that our decimal starts repeating just the 3. So we can put a bar over just the 3's and write our final answer as 0.83 with the 3 repeating. Number 30, we have a multi-step problem that we need to evaluate, so we need to follow order of operations. We are going to rewrite the mixed numbers as improper fractions to make it easier to deal with. So we've got 5/3 divided by -4/7 plus -6/5. When we're dividing, we need to keep our first fraction, change it to multiplication, and multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to flip it over and make it -7/4 and bring down the rest. 5/3 multiplied by -7/4 is going to give us -35/12. And we're going to copy over the -6/5. We need to get common denominators, which is 60. And then when we rewrite them, we're going to have -175/60 plus -72/60, which is going to give us -247/60. Last step, we need to change that back into a mixed number. So we get -4 and 7/60 as the answer. On 31, we're going to do exponents first. 4 squared is 16. Bring everything else down. We're going to divide next. When we do 5.4 divided by 16, we're going to get 3,375 10,000ths. Bring everything else down. And then when we subtract, we're going to end up with 8 and 1,125 10,000ths as the answer. Number 32, we have a lot of options of what you can use to make that statement false. Let's just suppose that A equals 2 and B equals -1. We're going to substitute those in. 2 plus -1 with the absolute value around it. And we're going to test to see if that's equal to the absolute value of 2 plus the absolute value of -1. This is just a property that we're testing to see if it's true, and hopefully proving that it is false. 2 plus -1 is 1, and the absolute value of 1 is 1. On this side of the equation, the absolute value of 2 is 2, the absolute value of -1 is 1, so the right side of the equation is equal to 3. We had an equation the whole way down, however, 1 is not equal to 3, so we're going to draw a line across the equal sign to show that those two are not equal, and since those are not equal, we just proved that that statement is false. The key idea behind this is that if you are taking the absolute value of the sum or difference of something, you have to do the whole thing inside your absolute value first. You can't break it apart and do the absolute value of each piece because you will end up with something that is not correct. Any numbers that where you have one positive and one negative would make this statement false. So you can pick any two numbers as long as one is positive and one is negative. Number 33, this says if x is less than 0, that means if x is negative, then the absolute value of x is equal to -x. So let's just pick a number that's negative. Let's say we pick -2. We're going to substitute that in and do the absolute value of -2 and see if that's equal to -2. Okay, the absolute value of -2 is 2. And -2, it's kind of like we are multiplying -2 by -1. Since a negative multiplied by a negative is a positive, this side is equal to 2. 2 equals 2, that is a true equation. So number 33, we would write true. Number 34, absolute value of an integer is the distance between a number and 0 on a number line. That's your definition we've been looking at. You can also draw a picture to show two numbers on a number line, one positive, one negative, and show what the distance between that number and 0 is, and then represent that as an absolute value. On number 35, I'm going to evaluate each one to show how they are different. -6 squared means we're going to do -6 times -6. A negative times a negative is a positive. For -6 squared, we're just going to bring down the negative in front, and then we're going to do 6 times 6. This time there are no parentheses, so we're only squaring the 6, not the negative. When we do -6 multiplied by 6, we get -36. Since those are not the same number, we would just say that they're different because one is positive and one is negative. Number 36, we have a table that shows bank account balances over a 5-day period. The day that has the balance closest to 0 is the number with the least absolute value. So the absolute value of -16 is 16. That's the one closest to 0. So we would say Friday, and we can show that it's only 16 units away, and that's smaller than any of the others. Range. Range means subtract the highest value and the lowest value. So we're going to do 125 and subtract the lowest value, which is -55. If we do keep add opposite, that's going to turn into 125 plus 55, which gives us a range of 180. The balance from Monday to Tuesday, we are just subtracting the two. So we're going to do -21 minus -55. Keep add opposite. and that's going to give us a total value of 34. Since the value decreased from Monday to Tuesday, we're going to have negative 34 as the integer represented there. Part D, the average balance, we need to add up all of the numbers, negative 21 plus negative 55 plus 102 plus 125 plus negative 16. And whatever we get for the sum, we're going to divide it by 5. So we're going to have negative 135 divided by 5. And that's going to give us an average balance of negative 27. Since we're talking about money, that would be dollars. All right, final problem. Football team needs to gain 10 yards to get a first down. They got 5 yards on the first play, then lost 2, then gained 7 on the third play. We have 3 expressions we need to choose which one can be used to solve this problem. The first one includes the 10. That's what we need. That's not part of what we're going to add up, so we won't need the first one. The second expression represents gaining 5 yards, losing 2 yards, and gaining 7 yards. So that one looks good. The third one, because we have this negative, that represents losing 5 and 7 yards, and since the 2 is positive, that represents gaining. So that's the opposite of what we need. So the middle one is the expression that we need. When we evaluate that, we see that we get exactly 10 yards, and that's what we needed. So we would say, yes, the team does get the first down, and show the equation y. Then for part C, the team gained 3 yards, they lost 2 yards, and once they've done that, they are 6 yards short of the first down. We know we need 10 yards to get to the first down. So this part is positive 1 yard for just the 2 plays. It says that the team is 6 yards short of the first down, so that means that they are 4 yards away from where they need to be. So we're looking for what number can we add to 1 and get 4. That's going to represent 3 yards. So you'd say that they had a 3-yard gain on the third play.